The year 2025 dawned, with the Red Sea in flames. For months, the vital artery of global commerce had become a shooting gallery. Houthi rebels, entrenched in Yemen's rugged mountains, had escalated a campaign of disruption to an unprecedented level. Their stated goal, solidarity with Hamas, a declaration that sent shockwaves through diplomacy. Rerouted ships added weeks and millions of dollars to journeys. The night of March 15, 2025 shattered the fragile calm. Under the cover of darkness, Operation Rough Rider was unleashed. A torrent of cruise missiles and precision-guided bombs rained down, marking the start of a relentless 53-day air campaign. Sana'a, Hodeida, Saada, the skies lit up with explosions. Over the course of the campaign, more than 800 distinct targets would be struck. This was no mere retaliation, it was a methodical attempt to dismantle the Houthi war machine. The full might of the United States was brought to bear. Core to the campaign, sever the kill chain, blind the radars that guided attacks on ships. Anti-radiation missiles hunted the electronic eyes along the coast. Simultaneously, drone hubs and missile storage sites were targeted, often hidden in civilian infrastructure. Precision munitions sought to destroy drones and missiles before they could be launched. The campaign also struck leadership compounds, attempting to cripple command and control. Yet, for every confirmed hit, uncertainty remained about what was missed. A high-tech cat-and-mouse game played out across mountains and deserts. Targets concealed among civilians made every strike a moral and legal gamble. On April 28, in the pre-dawn hours, a series of powerful explosions ripped through a migrant detention center in Saada. Rescue workers found utter carnage, bodies beneath rubble and survivors in shock. Investigators recovered fragments. American-made GBU-39 remnants were documented at the scene. The strike became a symbol of the campaign's devastating civilian toll.
Reports say at least 68 killed, dozens wounded, a tragedy of innocent lives.
Human rights groups demand independent investigations into possible war crimes.
On April 17, bombs fell on the Ras Isa oil terminal, a vital hub for fuel distribution. Massive fires consumed storage tanks, plumes darkened the coast. When the fires were extinguished, the toll stood at 74 lives. 22-year-old Salim lost 5 members of his family at the terminal. Destroying the fuel terminal worsened famine risks. Hospitals, water pumps, and transport were crippled.
This appears to be an apparent war crime. Civilians and essential infrastructure were hit.
Was the strategic gain worth the deeper humanitarian catastrophe? At sea, the pressure of constant operations took its toll on even the greatest platforms. Evasive maneuvers to avoid perceived threats were routine. During one such turn, an FA-18E Super Hornet broke loose on an aircraft elevator and slid into the sea. No personnel were injured, but the loss was a costly operational blow.
The Houthis claimed credit, painting it as a victory born of their strikes.
U.S. officials described it as a non-combat accident. The narrative war continued. Over 53 relentless days, hundreds of strikes reshaped Yemen. 339 U.S. airstrikes, more than the previous year under Operation Poseidon Archer. Independent monitors tally the human cost, at least 238 civilians killed, including children. Markets, homes, detention centers, and ports, places of life became targets or collateral. Strategists and analysts debated whether the campaign restored deterrence or sowed deeper instability. Shipping firms stayed away, insurers hiked premiums, and trade routes lengthened.
The campaign cost over $2 billion and diverted assets from other missions.
Military success and attrition. Strategic success, unclear. Then, as suddenly as it began, the onslaught stopped. A ceasefire, quietly brokered by Oman, ended U.S. strikes in exchange for attacks on U.S. ships to cease. The truce was narrow, bilateral, and limited in scope. Israel was caught off guard. The agreement made no mention of Israel and left it exposed. The Houthis continued to launch missiles and declared a maritime blockade weeks later. $2 billion, hundreds of targets struck. Yet questions remain about deterrence and long-term security. The human ledger, lives lost, towns shattered, futures uncertain. For some, the sea was momentarily safer. For others, war's wounds festered. The tragedies at Saada and Ras Isa are etched into this conflict's legacy. Analysts call it a strategic gamble. Critics call it a costly failure. Peace restored, or at what cost?